Good evening. Welcome to the January 21st, 2015 meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Commission. Please rise and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mrs. Zambrano, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Gregory.
Here.
Commissioner Reeder.
Here.
Chair Engler.
Here.
And Vice Chair McMahon is absent.
Okay. Well, we have an agenda item here, at which point we want to commend an outgoing commissioner, Rick Lemo. He is held up at another city's evening meetings and is unable to join us. But I wanted to at least acknowledge Rick Lemo has served this commission for 10 years. He's a friend to me, and I want to open this to any of the commissioners who want to say something. In stepping down, he will allow more time for a lot of the other things that he does that are so great. He serves on many boards, commissions, and really serves the community. The City Council has prepared a commendation to honor Rick Lemo. Now, he would say, well, I'm not honorable, so why is that? Anyway, he's a wonderful friend to me and has been a great mentor, and I wanted to thank him for his 10 years of service on this commission alone. Do I have anything else that people want to say?
Sure. Even though he's not here, I want to thank him for all his effort. I did serve with him for the whole 10 years, and he always had something to contribute and showed some wisdom, and we all benefited from him participating. And I just want to say that he will be missed, and I hope he gets to see some ball games today down the road.
Well, I'm just starting my third year on the commission, so I can't take 10 years bragging rights. But I want to thank Mr. Lemo very much for his guidance in helping me get started and allowing me to participate in the process of the city. So thank you, Mr. Lemo. Appreciate it.
Staff, I'll let you mention something to him at. Hopefully, we get to meet him, see him at a future commission meeting, and we can acknowledge him properly then. All right. Well, that moved quickly since Rick isn't here. We are now moving to agenda item 5, which is public comments. Any person wishing to speak to regarding an item on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction during the public comments portion of this agenda must file a public speaker card and do so with Mrs. Zambrano, our recording secretary. Before that portion of the agenda is called, any person who wishes to speak on a specific agenda item must file the public speaker card before that specific item is called. Persons addressing the Traffic Commission are requested to state their name and city of residence for the record. Under state law, issues presented or introduced under public comments can have no action and will be referred to the Traffic Engineering Division Manager for administrative action or scheduled on a subsequent agenda. It would be greatly appreciated if you'd silence all cell phones during the meeting. As a reminder, there is not to be any dialogue between the audience and commissioners at any time, as Thousand Oaks TV cannot record your comments when not speaking into the microphone. If you are unable to come to the podium, or should you need to step away for any reason while speaking, a wireless microphone is available for your convenience. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes. The recording secretary will set the timer accordingly. The green light on the timer will begin counting down the 3 minutes. When the yellow light is displayed, you will have 1 minute left, so please begin wrapping up at that time. The red light indicates that your 3 minutes are up, so please stop speaking, but remain at the podium in case questions from the commissioners are requested. Do we have any speakers? Well, that was a lot of reading, but let's move on to item 6 then. Our summary notes. Item 6, summary notes. Commissioners have a copy of the summary notes in your packet. Are there any comments regarding the summary notes? All right. Now we reach the engineer reports. Item 7. 7A. Shamir, would you like to address 7A?
Yes, good evening. For your consideration this evening is an information item related to the proposed intersection reconfiguration and left turn pocket extension at northbound Westlake Boulevard, approaching Avenida de los Robles. The purpose of this presentation is for the Commission to consider the staff report and the project's final design, as well as receive public input. This is the location map with the project area highlighted. Affected area is northbound Westlake Boulevard between Lang Ranch Parkway and Avenida de los Robles. A little background about the project. The intersection of Westlake Boulevard and Avenida de los Robles over the past 9 years has had one of the highest collision rates in Thousand Oaks. City has secured $115,000 grant that provides the opportunity for implementing the proposed improvements and will offset the project's cost, construction cost, that's estimated at $140,000. In March of 2014, Traffic Commission considered the design, concept, and project received positive feedback and support from the residents and the Commission. This diagram shows the existing configuration at the intersection. At the bottom of the screen, there are, in the northbound direction, there are 3 lanes approaching the intersection. And the 3 lanes are in a larger view to the right. Lane number 1 and 2 are both exclusive left turn lanes, and lane number 3 is a combination lane that allows motorists to go left, through, and right at the intersection. As mentioned, this intersection is on City's list of top 10 accident locations. Based on the existing accident data, 3 primary conflicts are cause of the majority of accidents at this intersection. This exhibit depicts conflict number 1. That's a vehicle-to-vehicle accident or conflict, and it takes place in a situation when a vehicle turning left from lane number 2, that would be vehicle B, drifts to the right and runs into a vehicle also turning left from lane number 3, vehicle C, and the conflict location for the 2 vehicles is shown with an asterisk. Despite the pavement markings delineating the path of travel, this tendency to swing wide may be due to drivers in the middle lane seeing cars to their right proceeding straight through, like vehicle D, and do not expect them to be making a left turn from that same lane. Conflict number 2 is also vehicle-to-vehicle conflict, and that's in a situation where a vehicle attempts to proceed straight through the intersection from lane number 2, since it's almost perfectly aligned with the receiving through lane on far side of the intersection. The location of the conflict with an asterisk shows where it could happen between car A and C. And the third conflict is a vehicle-to-bicycle conflict, and that's mainly due to the fact that in order for cyclists to turn left and end up in the bike lane on Arboles, They must start from a position to the right of the combination lane that sometimes requires cyclists turning left across through moving vehicles. You can see the asterisk that shows where the conflict can occur. All these conflicts can be reduced by reconfiguring the northbound approach so that no left turn will be allowed from lane number 3. This figure shows the resulting configuration. The curbside lane number 3, will be designated for through and right turning vehicles only. Here's a plan view schematic of the existing roadway configuration. Currently, between the two left turn only lanes and the combination lane, there's approximately 1,500 feet of left turn queue storage. By modifying the lane configuration and eliminating left turn from lane number 3, there will be a corresponding reduction in queue storage capacity. To offset this loss of storage capacity, extending the existing left turn pocket or lane number 1 is necessary. We have looked at two alternatives for extending lane number 1. That's currently about 150 feet long. Did I skip? There you go. This is alternative number 1, which would extend the lane as far back possible. For example, approximately an additional 500 feet. It provides a maximum left turn queue storage of 600 feet for lane number 1. However, this would require complete removal of the existing median, landscaping, including 26 trees, and 2 of these trees are oak trees. It would also require removal of 2 existing street name signs. The second alternative would extend the lane number 1 for about 250 feet to a total of 400 feet queue storage. With this alternative, the total left turn storage capacity provided by lane 1 and 2 is about 14% less than the existing left turn storage provided by all 3 lanes. But this reduction in storage capacity can be offset by changing the signal timing. That will be made possible with the new configuration. Both alternative 1 and 2 provide the same level of safety improvements. However, with alternative number 2, some median landscaping, including 2 oak trees, are preserved, and there will be enough room in the median to keep the street name signs. The final design of the project that is now completed is based on alternative number 2. Here's an exhibit that shows the proposed improvements under alternative number 2. And a large copy of this exhibit is also posted here on the wall for your viewing. The proposed improvements will include extending lane number 1 for about 250 feet. Along this 250 feet extension, the median will be narrowed to 4 feet, and with the stamped concrete and 14 landscape tree wells. They're shown like in little blue squares, if you can see them. The project will provide for microsurfacing northbound Westlake Boulevard from Lang Ranch Parkway to Avenida de los Arbres with new striping. Here's the anticipated milestones through the completion of the project. At the February 10th City Council meeting, staff will seek Council's approval to advertise the project for construction bids. The subject of tree removal has been discussed in more detail in the staff report provided to you. I just want to reiterate here that the environmental document for this project requires that all tree removals be done before the start of bird nesting season, which is February 15th. And to meet that schedule, city landscape crew will remove the trees during the second week of February. As mentioned before, this project is funded by a state grant. So before we can even advertise the project, we are required to get authorization for construction from Caltrans, and the staff is expecting to get that sometime in February. Then the project will be advertised and the construction contract awarded. and the completion is anticipated by May 2015. Project information updates will continue to be made available on project website, tox.org/Westlake Median. With that, I'll gladly answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for staff? Mr. Reader?
Thank you for the report. When this intersection was originally designed, did it go through the same process that we're going through now, where a lot of analysis was made?
Okay, you're referring to the original design where before that third lane was made into a left turn lane?
The design as it exists now?
Yeah, well, I think all the engineering review of how the number one left turn lane, the length of all that, that was done internally. And one of the problems that develop over time is that I don't think we anticipated the diversion of traffic from the 23-101 interchange, using Arbalest, using Westlake Boulevard as an alternate route. So, things change from the original design, and then ultimately we have the spillover of freeway traffic onto our city streets. So that's sort of what's causing all this traffic congestion at that location.
Good, you explained that well. So the decision to design it as it sits now was based on certain assumptions that didn't prove to be true. Are we assuming anything now with this new design that could change in the future?
Well, our basic assumption is that this is going to fix the safety issues that are there now, as Mr. Shamiri explained earlier. There's those street conflicts that you have for the turning movements. But also, as the 23 and 101 interchange project is completed in a number of years, you're probably going to have the traffic being rediverted back to the freeways, and so less traffic on Arbalest and Westlake. So, in addition, with alternative number 2, there's changes to the signal phasing that's being proposed. We can do that fairly easily. It doesn't require any physical changes to the intersection to implement that, but a combination of all those three things together should make this intersection work very well in the future.
Good. And the one assumption you're making is that things could get better with the less traffic, with the 23 freeway being completed. You're decreasing the storage of cars by 200 feet? In other words, there's 1,500 feet of storage now?
Yes, it will.
And we're decreasing it
decrease
to
to
1,300. Which means that allows 200 less cars through the intersection. How will you phase the lights to make this more efficient?
Okay, well, that's I believe that's 200 less feet of storage
Yes.
at the intersection. That probably equates to about maybe 11 cars per cycle.
According here, you have 1 foot of storage length for every peak hour vehicle.
Oh, yeah, that's. I guess that was sort of a rule of. There's
It's a
different.
rule of thumb, yeah.
Yeah, rule of thumb. There's different ways to look at it. I was looking at it in terms of 200 feet. That equates to about 10 cars stored at the intersection when they're waiting for the light to change from red to green. But what's being proposed with the increased efficiency for that signal is right now it's what we call operating on a split phase in the north and southbound direction, where northbound goes, all 3 movements at that intersection would go, but southbound movement is not moving. Normally, you typically have at most intersections both a north and southbound moving at the same time. We're going to modify the intersection so it does operate in sort of the traditional method, where northbound and southbound move simultaneously. And what it does is it reduces the cycle length, and it allows the signal to rotate much quicker through, which hopefully would result in less queuing at the intersection. So when you have shorter cycles, you have less queuing, fewer delays, and more efficient operation.
I kind of got it. Thank you. I'm concerned with the queuing backing way up. You say the traffic signal phasing will allow northbound northbound and southbound traffic to exist at the same time, even though most northbound traffic is turning left? That's where I need some clarification.
Yeah, I mean, in the southbound direction is fairly light traffic.
Yes.
What throws the intersection off is when there's a pedestrian movement at that intersection where a pedestrian in the southbound direction, where there's a light volume of traffic moving, when they want to cross the street, they're probably going to hold that southbound movement on for at least 30 seconds, when really for vehicle traffic it only needs the equivalent time of maybe 10 seconds to clear the intersection. So in that scenario, about 20 seconds will be sort of wasted for vehicles, and so that's where, in those periods you'll have heavy delays. But with this proposed modification, it'll be a little bit efficient, a little bit more efficient. You won't have those type of scenarios playing out by having, by eliminating that split phase operation.
Okay, I understand. Will there be more queuing on eastbound Avenida de los Orbeles because of the new phase?
That one probably won't change. One thing that we have there is what we call a right turn overlap phase, where when the northbound left turn movement occurs, the eastbound right turn movement occurs simultaneously.
Yes.
So that creates more efficiency there.
So that's for turning traffic, but specifically eastbound traffic going straight ahead into the community?
No, that's for the, okay, I'm talking about the eastbound right turn and the northbound
but
left turn.
Eastbound straight ahead.
Eastbound straight into the private gated community.
Will that increase queuing time there?
It probably wouldn't. That's a very light movement in terms of volume. We get a handful of cars, so when that cycles through, they probably more or less need about 10 seconds of green time to be served when there's a car.
So you'll be shorting the traffic phases for the lightly traveled areas to favor the more heavily traveled areas.
Yes, that's correct.
Extend that time. Right. Why do you think there's sideswiping in this intersection when apparently there's not much sideswiping at the intersection of Westlake Boulevard and T.O. Boulevard?
That's hard to say. I think we do get a fair share of sideswipe conflicts over at the Westlake and T.O. But for some reason, this one, we've got more residents calling us and notifying us that there's these conflicts occurring, and it could be that what Shamir had talked about earlier is for the northbound direction. When you see this receiving lanes on the opposite side of the intersection, for the driver, it gives the appearance that maybe with the alignment you go straight through, and some of these drivers, the regulars, they know how to handle the intersection. They drive through there on a regular basis. But you probably get the conflicts with people who are not familiar with this location.
All right. Could it be partly because of striping? I noticed at the Westlake Thousand Oaks Boulevard, you have very visible white lines guiding the cars, where at the intersection at Los Arboles, there are raised pavement markings, some of which, when I looked at them, they're not white anymore. They have rubber from the tires and things on them, and they're not as visible. Would that be something to consider to help make people traverse through the intersection in a more safe manner, to remark it, similar to what the other intersection is like?
Yes, that's a good point. That's correct. From time to time at these multiple left turn locations, the striping will tend to fade, or the raised pavement markers, they'll wear out over time. So we can make improvements to what's there now. Obviously, this project will get rolling in a couple months, but it doesn't hurt for us to take a look at it again. Yes,
and use new marks as the project is developed. All right. One last question, finally. As far as bicycles are concerned traveling through the intersection, which is a second problem that we're trying to address, a bicycle now is in number 3 lane, positioned waiting to turn left. They are in the right side of the lane, the middle of the lane, or the left side of the lane. Does it matter?
From what I understand, well, if they want to make the left turn, I believe they generally stay to the, they could stay any one of those positions when they begin their movement. And as they make the movement through the intersection, because they travel slower than a vehicle, that's when the conflict occurs, as the driver is.
Let me restate the question. What is the position of the bike in the lane? Is it towards the right side of the lane, or is a bicyclist usually in the middle, or is a bicyclist on the left?
Is that for current configuration or for the proposed?
The current configuration.
Well, the current configuration is to the right of the curbside lane.
They're on the right.
Right.
So if we make this a straight ahead only, no left turn, a bicycle has to move to lane number 2.
That's correct.
Now the bike has cars on both sides.
That's typical in any other intersection that they want to make a left turn.
Okay. Or if a bicyclist doesn't feel like they're comfortable with cars on both sides, they can use the crosswalks.
Yes, that's always an option too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks for all those questions. The cyclist safety was the one thing I just wanted to make sure it was being addressed. In a prior meeting, we got some feedback from people that actually use that. And so are we looking at any kind of striping to help designate and identify where cyclists should go now, as well as are we going to start any kind of protected lane since we're going to have 2 left-hand turn lanes, and the rightmost lane will be the one that the cyclists used. Are we going to include some kind of striping to help them out to know where they're going to need to be to safely traverse this now?
I think the problem here is that we wouldn't be able to do anything put a separate area for cyclists to wait. They would have to make the movement at this intersection, make a left turn as they would any other intersection. What we could probably take a look at is maybe do a special legend in the pavement to a stencil to show where the cyclists, their best position to wait when they want to make that left turn.
Right, and I have seen that, so,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would like. And, I have exhibited, or, I have actually witnessed when the freeway backs up, people will actually get off at Lindero. They won't even wait till Westlake and use that as a shortcut. So hopefully that won't happen. Our 101 expansion will take care of some of that. All right, thank you very much.
My specific question, which I think you have touched on, but my specific question is what is planned for noting where the lanes are crossing the intersection for northbound to westbound, the left turn, because I think that intersection is large, and where you want them to land is where you have at least one of those conflicts where cars veer and are turning, they're moving out of the lane that you want for them. So my question is if you've decided how to address that, or if you're going to be doing that in your plan.
Okay, I believe that's you're making reference to making sure that each left turning lane stays in their lane, and we can do that with what we call cat tracking, and it could be a combination of raised pavement markers or striping only. We'll definitely take a look into that.
Thank you. All right, at this point,
Just a short question. If the queuing increases to where people can't make a left turn further up the way, traveling southbound on Westlake Boulevard, what is your plan?
Well, I think we wouldn't be able to look at immediate changes right away. I mean, this is one of the a number of different things that we're going to have to look at to improve congestion there. Like I said earlier, the 101-23, that's going to play a key role in how much traffic flows through that intersection. There was a period where Traffic through there was heavy at one point. Then there were improvements on the 23 freeway. Traffic got much lighter through that area. And then when the 101-23 work got going again in the last year, traffic at that intersection all of a sudden went back up. So we're anticipating when the 101-23 improvements are complete, we're going to see traffic at that intersection go back down. So it's going to take a couple of years, and this is just one of the steps that we're taking to try to improve things. Obviously, this may not address the congestion issues that go on there, but it will certainly address the safety issues.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to read a portion for you for our next element to this, to our public comments. Anyone wishing to address the commission on this agenda item may do so by filling out a purple speaker card or a blue written comment card. Okay. We have one speaker card and one comment card. Is there anyone else who was going to speak? Okay. Okay. J.C. Simmons.
Aloha, commissioners from Hawaii, and Happy New Year, Thousand Oaks. J.C. Simmons, longtime resident of Newberry Park, avid cyclist around the Thousand Oaks area, the Conejo Valley, past president of the Conejo Valley Cyclists, to speak to some of the issues. It came as a huge shock to us of the cycling community when the configuration was made by Caltrans without any notice that we were not going to have 3 left turn lanes instead of 2 left turn lanes, and they threw right turn lane in the number 3 lane. We've been wrestling with this thing for the last 4 or 5 years. It came about when they were working on the 23 because of the traffic backup on the 23. People were taking the Westlake Arbalest detour. As has been expressed, it creates huge traffic conflicts for us as cyclists and for cars, because the question was asked, how do they stay in the lanes? Well, now you currently have possibly 3 lanes turning left into 3 lanes and a bicycle lane, and it's kind of crowded real estate wise. I think once this change is made, the receiving lanes only have to be 2 lanes and the bike lane. The question was asked about restriping or configuring for bicyclists. I had asked Engineer Shamiran if a bike box could be put between the number 2 and number 3 lane. There's not enough real estate, but certainly a decal or something that would express that. It was mentioned that cyclists, experienced cyclists have no problem getting between 2 cars if they're stopped, waiting to move at the signal. If you're turning left, you pull between the cars, you tell the guy that's to your left, I'm turning left with a signal. You can even talk to the person in the right turn lane because he's right there and say, I'm over here because I'm doing that. The question was asked, where do they currently queue? Most of them will queue next to the curb, which is very dangerous because you have absolutely no idea what the guy to your left is doing. Is he turning right? Is he going through? Is he turning left? And you have no idea what the guys behind him are doing. They don't know what you're doing, and it's very dangerous. I agree with moving forward. I believe phase 2 is probably the best long-term solution, taking out the least number of trees, but least increasing the storage for the cars. And I push avidly for the commission to move this forward to council so we can get this done before bird season. Thank you. Thank you, Thousand Oaks.
Thank you very much. We have a statement card that was filed with us that is for the project, and we did receive one email communication earlier this week that stated he was opposed to this project. Okay. Do we have any further questions for staff? Okay. All right. I don't know if the staff need to respond to the speaker at all. Okay. We will now close the community meeting. Do we need further discussion, or is there a motion?
Yeah, in prior meetings, we actually went over all this and the pluses and the minuses of these two choices. And, I find the one that we settled on, the alternative two, meets the criteria as best we can. And I would propose, if no one else has any questions about it, that we move forward with it. And we make a recommendation. Does anybody else have any more comment?
Just a minute, before you comment,
Sure.
let me just clarify, because at the beginning of your presentation, you stated that this was for information, but in fact, this is an action item. We are being requested to vote on this to suggest this go forward to council?
No, this is not an action item. It's an information item. It shows the nature. It's up to you.
Oh, yeah, I think it falls under an action item, so that when you do vote this evening, if you vote for this project, then we'll move it forward to City Council for I believe it was February 10th, so that they can authorize bids.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Commissioner Reeder, did you have any statement?
When a motion is made, I'd like to be able to specify that the lane markings be different than they are now to help prevent the sideswiping.
Would you like to make the motion?
No. That's fine.
I'll make a motion. Oh, okay. Or I'll jump in. I'm going to move recommendation 2 to go ahead with this project with the. Oh, let me read it. Thank you. Okay, thank you. To consider the staff report and receive public, which we've received public. Oh, you gave me a funny thing. Okay, I'm going to recommend. I move alternative 2 as described in the report for the proposed turn pocket extension on northbound Westlake Boulevard, approaching Avenida de los Arboles. And in my motion, I include that we add more visible markings on the pavement.
I'll second that.
Mrs. Zambrano, you want to call for the vote?
When I call your name, please say yes or no. Commissioner Gregory?
Yes.
Commissioner Reeder?
Yes.
Chair Engler?
Yes.
The motion carries 3-0.
Okay. All right. And then, Mr. Mashiko, did you want to present information on item 7B?
Okay. Yes, thank you. There's a couple items that you asked us to take a look at under 7B. One is Canaan Road at Westlake Boulevard, whether or not there's adequate signage for the westbound direction in addition to the pavement markings. We did a field review, observed traffic during the peak period, I believe the morning peak, when it was reported that there were some traffic or some vehicles making a left turn movement from a right turn lane. So we did that. Our findings are in the staff report, but we found that everything seems fine there. We don't recommend any additional markings or signage. And then we also followed up on Via Ricardo regarding some speeding concerns. So that information is in the staff report.
Do we have any questions for staff on this? Okay. And do we need to announce public comments for 7C? Or is that informational also?
That's
So I
just-
announced that for all of 7? Am
yes, 7C's information as well.
Yeah, okay. All right, and for the BAD advisory team and the school safety team, there is a thin report. There was no action taken. The December BAD advisory team meeting was canceled, and school safety team hasn't met since September, so there's nothing there. And then item 8 is our status report on Traffic Commission recommendations. Who would like to take that?
Okay, I'll just briefly update some prior items that Traffic Commission looked at. Number 1 is the Newberry Road speed hump petition that we heard late last year. It was, I believe, heard in November, and we were requested to collect additional traffic data. And it was during a time where we typically don't collect data during the holiday season. We've just gotten back to the time at which we begin our traffic count. So we're going to be collecting the additional traffic data. Hopefully, we can perhaps bring this back next month. We'll see how that goes. And then the we had at City Council last Tuesday the issue of the Valley Spring Drive Westlake Boulevard stop sign. City Council approved the change from stop sign control to yield sign control. And that concludes that.
Commissioner Gregory?
Yeah, just one question on that one. Have we put in that? I haven't been up that way lately. Have we put in that radar sign yet?
No, it hasn't been installed. We're currently going to perform the field. I guess the field work that's required. We're going to have to change out a pole that's in place where there's a speed limit sign posted. So we're going to have to put in a larger pole, and then it's going to house a solar panel and heavier equipment. So we're going to have to go to something stronger there.
Okay, so they're going to be close to each other before?
Yes, probably looking at maybe the next 30 days.
All right,
we'll
great.
have everything
Thanks.
complete.
Thank you. That's very helpful. All right, and item 9, Commissioner referrals from November 19th. There are no referrals. So we're moving ahead to item 10, our work program and commission schedule. Yes, Mr. Rear.
I'd like to make a comment before we conclude.
Go ahead.
Recently, Mayor Adam approached me at a council meeting, and he asked if the Traffic Commission could do anything to help alleviate the seemingly increasing traffic congestion in our city. And I'd like to see if perhaps we as commissioners, instead of reacting to problems that the citizens bring to us, we could also be proactive and make suggestions to City Council that could alleviate certain traffic congested areas. I brought up last summer the fact that we might be able to not have red turn arrows on at all times, especially when there's no opposing traffic, and instead go to a flashing yellow arrow, meaning that a left turn would be permissive, but be cautioned. Pasadena has instituted this. Orange County, some cities there have instituted it. San Diego has instituted it. Las Vegas has instituted it through their entire city. So I'm hoping staff would have the time to see if this is appropriate for our city, and that we could eventually make a recommendation to City Council. It would be a small improvement, but I myself personally get frustrated when I'm stopped at a red turn arrow. There isn't a car in sight coming, but you still have to wait. And then sometimes there's a car waiting to cross that intersection, so now we have to wait for that. And it would be a start to help alleviate congestion. Thank you.
Mr. Mashiko, how would we go forward with that?
I think in the past we've had items that if it's going to require quite a bit of staff time, I think in something like this, it's I think what you're looking at is the flash. It's a form of the protected permissive traffic signal, and you want us to take a look specifically at this flashing yellow style design that's out there, we probably have to come back, let you know what the cost of retrofitting a traffic signal to that configuration. Where are they, the most suitable locations in the city if we were to implement a program, and probably have to maybe develop maybe a prioritization. If we're going to put them in, we can't just or we have to select the most appropriate locations. So I think if you were to vote and you want to add that to the agenda, we can do so.
Commissioner Gregory.
Yeah, I only have one concern about that. Number one, I think all the lights that we have are going to be there for quite some time, so there's a cost factor involved. If we set that as a standard, even for new ones, we don't, we have a list of priorities for new signage, even if that was approved. I don't think that would be too many in the whole city, so that might pose a problem that it's kind of a unique, intersection. But my biggest question about all that would be the feedback on conflicts between cyclists and cars, because I could see some, issues there, and I would say I'm neutral at this point on anything like that until I would see, how that would affect, because we're supposed to be a cyclist-friendly city. I was just wondering if the people that adopted that, put some kind of limits on the areas or the types of intersections, that they did something like that. And, depending on that feedback, then we could, I guess, revisit this.
One of the things I'd like to say is I wonder if part of making it safer is also we as commissioners. Now, you've been on the commission 14 years or so. So.
Or so.
So, but I think what's important is that we also understand the philosophy and the plan, the traffic plan that you have for the city. And I'm not sure the commission is fully. We're certainly not where you are as traffic engineers, and so part of knowing where we actually can help, I think we need to have better education. So my personal feeling is I would request that we have education available to commissioners for anyone who wanted it, understanding the traffic traffic plan or whatever that you can share with us, help us be better traffic commissioners, and maybe really see something that makes sense. But thank you for your recommendation. Go ahead.
Can you use data that the other cities have gathered as far as what their experience has been in changing the left turn situation in our city? In other words, you don't have to start from scratch. Could you go to these cities and say, let's see your data? Have things improved? Have things stayed the same or gotten worse? Is that?
Yes, we often do turn to other agencies, just like other agencies come to us. Traffic engineers, we share our information with each other and figure out lessons learned so that we don't duplicate mistakes or things that happen that we didn't expect. So we can talk to some of the agencies and find out what their experience has been with this newer style protective, permissive, flashing yellow signal, and give that to you at a future agenda, whether it be next month or the month after. We'll probably take a little time to get that information together.
Good, thank you. Are there things that you could suggest to us as commissioners to help alleviate congestion, as Mayor Adam has requested? In other words, we're not traffic engineers. We only see what goes on in other cities. So is that appropriate for you to make suggestions?
Well, I guess, if there's something that you see while you're driving, and probably the best thing is as you drive, and your experiences in other agencies. If you see something that we're not doing, let us know. Just like this example right here with the protective permissive signal, we'll be happy to look at it. I mean, in general, in Thousand Oaks, most of our congestion, it's not as heavy as other areas. We do, in terms of when we monitor our signals, every 2 years we take a look at our bigger intersections in town, and we grade them from A through F. A is the best, F is the worst. Most of our intersections are operating at A, Bs, and a handful of Cs. So in terms of congestion, we don't have heavy congestion levels. We'd probably have some delay that occurs because we do have signals that are synchronized along Thousand Oaks Boulevard, Moore Park Road, Lynn Road, Hillcrest Drive. And in those scenarios, the delay is when it's typically the side street traffic and left turn movements that are experiencing the delay. What we're doing is moving as much traffic as possible on the main streets, those Thousand Oaks, Moore Park, Lynn. So those folks are driving through with fewer delays, getting from point A to point B with minimal stops. And then when we do get the concerns, it's because it's mainly from the side street traffic. But people do have to keep in mind that once you do enter this, the main corridor from those side streets, you'll make up lost time because in theory you're going to get through each intersection with minimal delays because they are synchronized.
Thank you. Mr. Mashiko, can you mention to us the work program that we have ahead? That's item 10 for the audience.
Yeah, we have the 3 items listed there. The traffic signal master plan report. We're looking to bring that to you next month. And then in the month of March, we have the Newberry Road speed hump petition that we're collecting data for. So we might switch the order of that. We might bring that petition request back in February and the traffic signal master plan in March. And then as a future information item, we had a project scheduled for Westlake Boulevard that's south of the 101 freeway. There's some sidewalk improvements that are expected for that location.
Thank you. So under item 11, Traffic Commission comments and discussion. At what point, what is the purpose of this item? I think we've already done that. So, okay. So having addressed our commission comments, it actually moves us to item 12, our adjournment. Our next meeting will be held at 6:30 p.m. on February 18th, 2015 in the boardroom of the Civic Arts Plaza. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we are adjourned.